Have you ever found yourself in a situation where your teammate dies seemingly out of nowhere, only for you to later realize that he was fighting a team all by himself?
Yeah.
What about a situation where you're in a team fight and you think you and your teammates are all focusing on the same target, only for you to die to realize that you have been attacking two different people?
No, this.
Both of these scenarios have one major factor in common: bad communication. Good communication can make a bad team better and a good team great. And bad communication, well, it can make things more difficult than it really needs to be. Now, if you want to become a good communicator, you've got to understand the nuances of the communication process. Typically, you're either going to be the sender or the receiver. Not only does a good sender choose the most appropriate medium for the message, whether it be voice comms, text, or in games like Apex, the ping system, but they also craft that message keeping their intended receiver in mind. One of the more basic examples of this is choice in language. You wouldn't really ask your Spanish-speaking teammate to push a building in English, would you? Rather, you might say something like,
Vamos, ataquemos este edificio.
Or you might just use the ping system. In addition to language, you might take into consideration things like tone or time constraints, or even the receiver's personal experience and culture when sending a message. A good receiver is a good listener. They have to be able to correctly interpret and understand the message being sent, whilst also providing appropriate and timely feedback to the sender. Feedback is pretty important. It helps that you and your teammates know that you're all on the same page, and not utilizing it well enough could lead to problems in coordination and timing, resulting in some of the misplays you saw earlier in the video. Lastly, noise is anything that interferes with the communication between a sender and a receiver, and in gaming this could be a number of different things, from actual noise in the background like dogs barking or cars driving by, to things like having a bad headset or mic, or even you and your teammates talking over each other. But personally, I feel like the most prevalent example of noise in the gaming community, something that most of us have to overcome at one point in time or another, is sensory overload. Right, this is some footage from a recent Apex match I had, and I think it might help explain how sensory overload could be an issue. And pause. When I first started playing the game, the only thing I would have been able to pay attention to was the enemy pathfinder. Then as I grew more comfortable, the damage counter, the caustic trap to the side, and the caustic himself coming around the corner. So far we only talked about things on the screen, but there's also gunfire, grenades and footsteps to take into account. And more experienced players will be paying attention to the ammo count, the kill feed and their teammates' HP bars. In longer fights you also have to pay attention to the map and ring movement. And I still haven't accounted for all the icons that the game throws at you. In order to get good at the game, players have to quickly and efficiently process all this information, and if they can't, it's going to hamper their ability to make quick decisions and impede their communication skills. The following is a clip of me playing with two of my closest friends, and I've added a message and feedback counter just to give you some idea of how often communication could take place in a 1.5-minute long team fight.
Well, I hear somebody. On me.
Understood.
I want you to see them jumping up.
I
bet mouth cover you.
Yeah, I'll not come to you directly. I'm going to hold this building. If you could
Yeah,
fall
I'm
back.
out. Yeah, I'm falling out already.
Good. I'm looking now. I can't see though.
I'm behind you.
Good. We can fight here.
I'll take
All this
nothing.
is
I'll take
all this
nothing.
is
Marking
good.
our
Acknowledge.
surroundings.
Hostile right here.
1, 2. I see our octane. I hear one running behind us here.
I'm taking fire.
That one. 25.
I'll
Yeah,
come
we have
in,
one back
He's
in
coming up. He's climbing up. He on me. At the back.
I'll come in with you.
Let's go 42.
Keeping the rest at bait.
He on
Yeah,
now.
hit him. Yeah, that's it. Alright, he's down. You heal up. Are the rest push up as yet, fine?
No, they're still on the cliff.
Shoot up if you need to. I'm going to look
One
at them now.
push towards me.
Okay, my ping and I'm coming to help.
Right there. I don't know
I
here.
hear one low, I'm dropping on this. This is the boat.
It's our Charlie. It's our moment at Charlie.
Yeah. The Octane there, pants. Crack. Octane left.
Yeah.
Last one behind me. You do your food. I'm back and I'm coming.
Okay.
Coming up, I'll come up behind him.
Yeah.
Let's put 31 inside. 2 erasing out. On this side.
Yeah. Target practice, boy.
119.
Hey. Drive over. Good comms.
I've been playing games for a long time now, and over the years I've come to the realization that my mechanical skill in a lot of these multiplayer games has plateaued. I'm not getting much better at it. But that's okay, because I've also realized that you could compete in other ways. I use things like game sense and strategy and teamwork to succeed in situations where if I had relied on my mechanical skill alone, I would have failed. And that's why I value communication so well. You could have all those other things that I just mentioned on a high level, but if you can't communicate with your teammates, then it doesn't really matter. On the other hand, if you find people you communicate well with, like my friends in the clip before, everything seems to mesh together and flow like music from your favorite band. That brings us to the end of the video, guys. If you want to learn more about the communication process in general, there are a number of resources online that you could probably take a look at. I'll link a few in the description below. If you want to learn more about good team comms in games in particular, I recommend tuning in to any of your favorite gamers' streams. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for watching.